Christine McIver, guest host on Living 365 TV today. It's time to stop waiting and start living 365. Perfect.
Hi, I'm Jim Ribau, guest host on Living 365 today. It's time to stop waiting and start living 365.
Welcome to Living 365 TV, a show designed to help you stop waiting and start living. This show is going to bring you real experts with real tools for real people like you who are ready to stop waiting and start living 365. I'm your host, Priya, and I'm very excited today to have my two guest hosts with me. To my left, Jim Ribau, coactive coach and NLP practitioner. And the beautiful and just back from Barcelona, Spain, off the plane and to us here at Living 365 TV, Christine McIver, possibilities coach and access consciousness certified facilitator. Welcome.
Thank you, Priya.
Thank you so much for flying in. I mean, I know you came back yesterday, but geez, you pretty much did fly in.
Yeah, just for you.
And Jim, for coming all the way from Oakville.
Oh, it's a good drive.
It's always worth the drive to Burlington, isn't it?
It is. Beats the drive to Toronto.
It sure does. Especially right now. We were at the Pan Am Games in the HOV, but you and I were on the phone earlier today, and you were caught in a little bit of a traffic jam.
Yes.
And I told you I would call upon the angels of traffic for you and tell the viewers what happened.
Well, 5 minutes later, the traffic parted, and I was able to fly right through.
There you go.
Yeah, it was awesome. Thank you, Priya.
Just let me know. Just call ahead. I got you. So I've invited you both today here to discuss happy divorce. Now, Jim, when I invited you to be on the show, Jim wanted to make it very clear to the viewers he's very single, never been divorced, a good catch. Come on, gals, call him up.
I have a wonderful girlfriend.
Oh.
I've just never been married, never been divorced.
Oh, you have a wonderful girlfriend.
I do.
Okay, well, there you go. Sorry, rewind, not single, but still very lovely.
Thank you.
Okay. You can look at him. Eye candy, that's it. No more, ladies. And Christine, I think you have been down the divorce road once before?
Yes, twice.
Twice before. Oh,
yes.
Well, here we
I'm
go.
proficient.
High five. Me too. Here we
I
are.
like to be proficient at
Make
things.
sure we're doing it wrong for sure, right?
I just want to make
Not
sure I
just
got
once,
it right.
but twice.
Yeah.
But the
Exactly.
reason that I've asked you both to join me is I'm noticing a lot of, not just in divorce per se for marriage, but breakups in relationships. And you being an access consciousness practitioner and you being an NLP practitioner, being able to show people that there's some ways to overcome some of the pain of the breakup and some of the stuff that's gone on throughout the relationship that caused the breakdown of the relationship, and helping them to move forward as they proceed and or if they even helping them to want to proceed into a new relationship. There are different techniques that we can use through, both of your practices and modalities that can help people in a maybe what's not the traditional way of counseling and therapy. So I wanted to talk to you both a little bit about that. Is that okay?
Sure.
Jim's like, okay.
Let's see.
I haven't been married, I haven't been divorced. I've gone through a lot of breakups that felt like divorces if I was to assume what a divorce would feel like.
Yeah.
So I'll come from
that
whatever perspective shows up.
And so are you the heartbreaker or are you the heartbreaky? Half and half, a little bit of both?
A little bit more of the heartbreaky.
Oh, the heartbreaky.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Christine? Wait. She's like, what? What now?
Yes.
Is this going to be about me? That's the part about the real people. That's
Right,
what this
right.
is about. Yeah. And did you find in the breakdown of marriage 1 or 2 that one party or the other was wanting out?
In both, I think, when it's not working, I don't think that there's usually one partner that wants to stay in it.
Right.
They may believe they want the marriage to stay intact because they're judging themselves or they feel like other people will judge them if they go into divorce.
Right.
But I think what I've personally experienced and what I've seen with clients is that when it's broken down, it's so incredibly difficult and heavy that people want to move beyond. People generally want to be happy.
Yeah.
And when they've worked with the relationship and it continues to break down and break down and break down, I think everyone wants to just move on. The trick is how do we move on? How do we move on without creating more pain? Mm-hmm. How do we move on without creating more financial stress? Because now we have to go to a lawyer and it's going to cost thousands and we hear everybody's horror stories. So that's where I find that people want to move on, but they don't have the tools. And they're in so much self-judgment around, I failed, my marriage failed, I'm going to mess up my kids, all of that heavy, what I think are lies that we've bought into that hold people back from actually choosing happiness.
Yeah, that's a really good point. That those lies that we kind of have bought into in ourselves. And I know, also being a fellow NLP practitioner, that's something that we can help with through NLP is sort of those stories that we create and the messages. Can you share a little bit about that and your experience with that?
Yeah, like what I see or what I hear from people when I'm working with them is the story that they keep telling themselves. And if you think of a record that has a song on it, and you keep playing the song, it keeps playing the same record, same song over and over and over again. In the same way, memories are stored in our unconscious minds about those stories that we often reflect on and keep us in the not so nice stuff, let's say. And
Jim was about to say shit, but he wasn't sure if he could or not. But right. That's okay.
And what I find with what I've learned to love and about the NLP is about kind of taking maybe even a pen and just like scratching that story on that record out, so that when the individual goes to play that story over and over again, it doesn't take them back into the place of despair and all the bad stuff, but instead it's kind of, it's a learning experience and we can move forward. So that's what I believe the power of NLP is in decreasing or mitigating the emotional impact of the stories that we've told ourselves through divorce or through breakups.
Yeah, absolutely. And just even take it further with your record, a lot of times when people move on to a next relationship, they don't realize that they're taking this record, putting it on the new player or new partner, and then they go, oh my God, it's the same thing again. How did I end up here?
Right.
And they don't recognize, because they're playing the same record over and over again, it's really not that partner. And that it may be that that partner is similar to the previous partner. However, that record player can only play that record because that's the one that's been put on. And so they think they're in a bad space all over again. Have you guys noticed that, either through your personal lives or through your clients?
Absolutely. I mean, how many times have we heard people say, why do I keep, being attracted to the same man or to the same woman? Why do you can take this into any relationship. Why do I keep working for the same type of jerks? Or why do I keep, getting into fights with friends? Why do I keep doing that? Well, it's because you have a patterning that you've bought into. And what we find in Access Consciousness is what we're doing is we're looking at the past and we're saying, I don't want that. But the whole time we're resisting something, either agreeing and aligning or resisting and reacting to something, what we do is we keep recreating it because we're still in this attachment to it on some level. And when we begin to detach from that, when we begin to break down the patterns, the synapses in the brain where we store our thoughts, feelings, beliefs, emotions, when we start to delete those, and we have a tool called the bars, the Access the bars, and what this does, it actually starts to completely erase it. And so we can begin to create anew without those old patterns that we've been attached to. And I have seen absolutely amazing things begin to happen when we get it unattached from all of those old patterns.
Absolutely.
And it's phenomenal. And when you look back, and me for myself, I could see these two men that I was married to. They're very different men, and yet there were qualities, personality qualities, choices that they were making that seemed very similar to me and had a response or a reaction within me that was negative. And when I began to detach from all of that, it's so funny. It feels like a lifetime ago because that's not who I am anymore.
Exactly.
And now I choose relationships, whether it's business, clients, personal, intimate. I choose them from the space of what actually works for me and what is true for me. And I'm not doing it based on what's going to make you happy. I'm doing it what's based on me, and I'm not cutting off myself in order for you to accept me. And I think that's where we're often creating relationships based on, will this other person accept me? Well, maybe they won't like this about me, so I'll stop doing this, or I'll start doing this. And we change ourselves to fit in.
Yep, we morph.
And then the minute that we're in that relationship, we start to really get upset, and we start to really get, detached from the joy of what we chose originally.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you probably say the same in terms of with NLP. We see that, again, going back to with the stories and the record, we also learn from the relationships that were modeled for us. So I'm wondering, in your practice and what you've seen with either couples or with individuals who have been in relationships, how can you determine sort of where those behaviors and patterns are learned? What types of things sort of tip you off as a practitioner?
As a practitioner and a coach, we're trained to listen at a deeper level. We're trained to listen. What's the message that they have, or what's the story or the belief that they have beneath what they're actually saying? And it's amazing when we start probing a few questions later, how what they thought was superficial, what was their first response. Few answers later, it's something completely different. A lot of times what I do is I take clients out of the why questions. I find why questions tend to keep people focused on the story and keep bringing them back. And I mean, I've used this in my personal life. I'm only going to speak from my own experience. I look at the relationships that I've had. Why did they happen, or why didn't they happen? That will only get me so far. At some point, it's enough. And what I do is I get people to start thinking about what they're going to do about what they learned from previous situations. I've never looked on a relationship as a waste. I've never looked at it as a waste of time or as a regret, because there's learning in every relationship. And, I hear people going through different situations, different breakups. And, the last 10 years of my life has been a complete waste. The last 20 years has been a complete waste. And I challenge these people to kind of take a step back and to look at what they really got out of it and what they can take from it moving forward. They're different people today than they were 10 years ago, 15, 20 years ago. And now it's about taking those learnings and into the new relationship. And I find when we switch from whys to whats, then it changes their perspective and opens up different possibilities.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's your, we've been on P words the last 2 days, so that's your P word for the day is possibilities, yes. Right? And it definitely makes a change when you're now open to the possibility of what else this could be, or what other reason could there be for this. So when you go into the why did she leave me? Why did he cheat? Instead of what other possibility is it? Because usually when you go into a why question, it comes back with something self-negating in terms of, well, maybe I wasn't pretty enough or skinny enough, or maybe, he's saying, well, maybe I wasn't muscular enough, or I wasn't good enough in bed, or whatever it is. I didn't provide enough money, whatever the answers are. But what these two modalities do is they bring the awareness to the questions that we tend to normally ask, which is the why. Only allow our brain to focus in a certain direction and it's like being in a corn maze. You can only get out that one way. And what I love about these two modalities is that it prompts you to ask a question that will lead you to a positive answer, to an answer that's going to actually move you forward, because you're looking for something that will take you through the pain of it and get you going forward instead of driving you back in the past. And what so many people are doing is going back into the past. And I think you'll both agree, if I know both modalities, I know yours a little bit less, but when we go back into the past, we actually create that same physiology. So for those of you at home, when you're listening to a song, whether it's one that you love and you had a great time, you're at a wedding, the minute you hear it, you start kind of wanting to perk up. Or if it's one that you had when you were with your lover or the day you broke up, it's one that brings a tear to your eye, right? So when you go back into a thought of something in the past, it triggers that same physiology. And your energy, your vibration, your mood, your feelings, your thoughts now model that same moment. And it starts the pattern all over again. And then we go, oh my God, it's this again. Guys, do you agree? Like, do you see this as well?
I do, absolutely. It was interesting. I was reading some things earlier today on NLP, and this thing came up, and I made a note next to it. And a lot of times our thoughts create a certain physiology. And a lot of times our physiology creates certain thoughts. So in essence, through NLP and through just, do this at home, by shifting your physiology from when you're feeling that, that feeling that you don't want to feel, to something that you do want to feel, will automatically create the thoughts that inspire the shift or the change that you want.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to give an example of what you're talking about, I can remember, kids in school sitting around like this, and the teacher would say, sit up straight in your chair, and because whether that be the right answer or not, in her mind or his mind, the physiology of sitting up straight means you're paying attention. So if we're programmed that way, that this physiology, this posture, this breath, this, shoulder stance, whatever it is, puts you in the mode to be doing that, that's what your mind now will follow. And that's what we're trying to teach people is, if you're going through something like a divorce or a breakup, by changing the physiology and simple things like get out of bed and take a shower, because if you feel like you were left behind because you weren't good looking enough or valuable enough, or you weren't pretty enough, or you weren't manly enough, or whatever it is, get out there and put yourself in a position for that, because it actually changes how you feel about yourself. People laugh because they think I'm a bit of a diva. I'm pretty much done 24/7. If I could have heels that were slippers, I probably would. But the reason I do it is because I feel different when I dress the way that is comfortable to me. And I can tell the difference between there's nothing wrong with, please don't send me letters and emails, there's nothing wrong with sweatpants, yoga pants, any of that, hair back, ponytail, all good if you love it. But for me personally, I like it a little glitzed and glammed up right from the time I get up.
That's what works for
My
you.
eye mask has rhinestones on it, I'm telling you right now, okay? It starts from bed. So when I get up in the morning, that's what I do. When I walk by the mirror, I want to be like, hey girl, right? And she looks back at me and I look at her, we're all happy people. But if I don't have that on, and it's not how it looks, it's how it feels, I feel different in my physiology, and it alters my day. So based on your modalities and your knowledge, what can you add to that?
So what I want to just go back to something that you said, because you're talking about getting the answer. And one of the things in Access Consciousness is we don't look for the answer.
Right.
Because when we are looking for the answer, when we are asking for questions and we're looking for the answer, and especially when we use the why question, the why question is actually a direct order to the brain to go find something.
Right.
To give you the answer. And anything that's in our brain is everything that we've been programmed into in the past. So if we want to create something different, we don't want to go back into the brain. We actually want to work with the universe, and we want to ask questions to create new possibilities. So we're not actually looking for the answer when we're asking questions. We're actually looking for the possibilities.
Right.
And when we're working with the universe, we can create something brand new we've never had before.
Yes.
So when you're in that space, when you're down on yourself, when you're depressed, when you're worrying about your partner, you want to end the relationship, or it's ended and you're co-parenting and there's chaos, when you're asking a question like, what else is possible here I haven't considered?
Yes.
And you allow the universe to contribute to you, you absolutely can create something brand new. And when you get out of looking for the answer, it lightens everything, including what's in your body.
Absolutely.
Because we do lock all of these thoughts, feelings, and beliefs programmed into our brain, and it gets locked into our body.
Sure.
And so, there's lots of modalities that you do as well where we can unlock this from our body. And when we're really asking the universe to contribute to us, anything is truly possible.
Absolutely.
And when I'm working with clients, like you were saying, Jim, when they're saying something, so they'll say, it's my fault because I didn't this, or it's my fault. And, I'll just ask, so truth, is that really what occurred? And as we start to peel back on the layers of it, we find that people are looking for the fault, because that's what we've been programmed to do. Look for the problem. When you find the problem, then you can fix it.
Yeah.
Okay, what if we just moved on?
Exactly.
What if we just said, like, the program that I have is Divorce with Dignity. So what if we actually looked at, what would I like to create now?
Right.
Well, that woman, she's a bitch. Okay, cool. She's still the mother of your children. What would you like to create now with her? Would you like to have co-parenting that's ease for you, for her, and for the children? So really looking at, what do we want to create today moving forward? we don't need to go into the past. We don't need to judge ourselves or judging other people, because all that does is it locks everything back in. And we get back on that hamster wheel, we get back on that record. When we're actually looking at what we desire, and we know that anything is possible, because there are people who have been divorced who are happy.
Exactly.
There are people who co-parent that don't like each other.
Yeah.
And they do a really good job.
For sure.
And there are possibilities out there that most people aren't aware of, because we're often listening to other people. Well, you better do this, or you better do that, or she's going to take you for all your money. All of that, is that really true? Yeah. And what if we didn't buy into that and we actually started to ask, what else is possible here I haven't considered? That's just one tool that I use all of the time. And when the clients that I work with use it, they start to step into a different energy. And it creates kindness for themselves and for their partners.
Yes.
And when they begin to move forward possibly with a new relationship, they come at it from a very different angle. Because they're not coming at it from, well, I don't want to do that again.
Exactly.
Which has us do it again.
Exactly, which is that's exactly that. Repeat the pattern, put the record on again, and do it again.
Exactly.
And I think what you're saying, NLP is very similar. There's in one of the submodalities, there's a question that says, is this actually, when did you decide this to be true? So when you there's a statement, and it's like, when did you actually decide that this was a true thing? And it just kind of puts your brain on pause and makes you think, well, I don't know, when did I decide that to be true, and where did I get that from, and is it actually true? And those are the messages that form who we are as people, these messages that we acquire as we're growing up. And I'm sure you've seen that in your practice as well, with things that come up for people.
Absolutely. It's a lot of times people say things and they don't realize what they're saying. And I mean, I'm not pointing fingers, right? Because I'm pointing at you.
If you want to point,
pointing back
here.
at me, right? There's three pointing back at me. There's, and I love the analogy for coaching in NLP. Think of any sports team or any great athlete in the world, and the best of what they do. They have coaches. Do the coaches play their sport better than they do? The answer is no. But what the coach does is it sees in them what they can't see in themselves, because they're in the game. Mm-hmm. And so once the coach tells them and they're aware of it, then the shift can occur.
Yes.
And that's what I see with our clients. Playing on what Christine said, one of the things that I really love about NLP and was totally intrigued by NLP is a lot of times, sometimes people can't explain things. I got this feeling and I don't know where it comes from and da-da-da. And what I find with NLP from a practitioner standpoint is, in a lot of times, we don't really even need to know the wording or the languaging, as long as we use what they use, and we can still shift them from where they are to where they want to be, because all the work is really internal at an unconscious level. Yeah.
So we are kind of the tool helping them to do what they're already willing to do within themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
I'd agree.
And so just because we're using these terms, access consciousness and NLP, and I know you're both very passionate about it, but this is a shorter show. So what I'd love you to do is to just explain that, in terms that somebody who has no exposure to any of these modalities could understand what they both are. I do want to say that you did talk about really not going into the why, and it's one of the things I personally was turned on to access consciousness through you. I don't know if you even know that, if I shared that with you or not, but I came across a video that you had posted on social media. And it really helped me, because even the clearing statement, we won't go through all of it, but the clearing statement itself it just totally intrigued me, and it had my brain flipping, sort of the same way that NLP did when I started using it. So if you wouldn't mind, could you please just explain very briefly what access consciousness is, and would you mind sharing the first two lines of the clearing statement for me?
Sure. So access consciousness is pragmatic tools to help us clear anything that we're stuck in. And what access does is it invites you in to know what you really know. And what we invite people into is being an allowance of everything, including judgment without judgment. So it's a way to be in the world with everything from an interesting point of view, and to see what it is we would like to create beyond anything we've ever created before. So we have a lot of different tools that we use, but it's really about stepping in and asking questions to create greater.
Yes.
So the clearing statement is right and wrong, good and bad, POC and POD, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. And it's weird, it's wacky, and it works. And I don't even care what it is, because I've seen absolutely the most amazing things occur. I explain it to people, it's like Jenga.
Yeah.
When you get stuck in something, when you use the clearing statement, it's like pulling the bottom wooden stick or something out of Jenga. It's pulling the Jenga, and it just drops. It unlocks it so quickly, and so you can create greater possibilities going forward. It's absolutely amazing. I've seen shifts in people's lives, in their money, in their relationships, in their bodies, that they can barely remember who they were in that, and it happens so quickly.
It's very quick.
It's very quick. In an hour and a half session of getting, so the foundational, the first tool in Access is called the bars. So we touch 32 points on the head that begin to clear all different areas of your life. And an hour and a half getting your bars run can begin to unlock every area of your life where you're feeling stuck.
Yeah. And so when I asked you to share the first two lines, you kind of looked at me like, "What are you talking about?"
Because it's not more than one
like,
line.
what are you talking about? It's one line. But when I first started watching some of the videos prior to that actual clearance, the question that is posed is, what energy, space, and consciousness can I be that would allow me to blah, blah, blah. So what energy, space, and consciousness could I be that would allow me to release the need to eat potato chips every night at 9 o'clock, right? That's it.
Yes, could be. I would suggest that maybe you're judging yourself in eating your potato chips. But what energy, space, and consciousness can my body and I be to create a co-parenting relationship with total ease?
Yes.
And everything that doesn't allow that, destroy and uncreate it all,
and
right, wrong, good, bad,
everything that doesn't allow that, that I have and I will create and uncreate and destroy. Right. So because basically that's what I really liked, and it kind of it coincides with what we do in NLP, because to even think that something that we've done, we've created this, we have created whatever it is. So when you use the word uncreate and destroy, we don't even have to know what it is. The way I liken it is like when I go to throw my trash out, I don't go back digging in to see what's in there. Once it's in there and something's rotting, I'm like, I wonder what's really making the garbage be so stinky. Maybe I should go in and check and see what's causing this odor and this, foul stench.
Right.
I don't do that. I just take the garbage and check it out, right? And I think certain other, again, I don't want to bash any other modality, but certain other things that are out there cause us to keep opening the bag and go in and be like fishing through. I'm like, no, it's not this, and there's no need for that, because really we know we want a fresh garbage can, and we don't want that in there anymore. So what I like about those statements is it leads you into that point of just saying, look, whatever's in the garbage, just get it to the curb and let it go where it's got to go, so that I can, breathe freely again, enjoy the odor and the aroma in my home, feel clean and clear, and allow me to carry on with whatever it is that I now want to create.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of the modalities that we've all learned, and a lot of what we've been taught in this reality, is that we have to find the cause.
Yes.
Because if we don't find the cause, we can't change it.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Exactly.
Well, can we not just choose again? Can we not begin to create brand new?
Exactly.
So instead of going back there, which has us keep buying into it, keep the story, keep buying into it,
well,
just move forward.
It's like going to the hospital saying, I'm having a heart attack, and the doctor, instead of treating you and trying to help you, going, I wonder what caused this. What do you think, Joe? What do you think caused the heart attack? I don't know, Bob. What caused the heart attack? I don't know. Maybe he was eating too many burgers.
Excuse me, I'm having a heart attack.
Right? And it's like, somebody just fixed my damn heart. So this is where we're at right now,
Yeah. No, it's so true.
Yeah.
It's so true. And when I just wanted to say, the destroy and uncreate, we cannot destroy and uncreate anything that's working for us.
Exactly.
So we don't wipe out
any of the good stuff.
We're just getting rid of things that are actually not ours. And a lot of the time, when we were talking earlier about like where did that come from and all that, 99% of all of our thoughts, feelings, and beliefs are not ours.
Yeah.
We're so aware of everyone around us, we're actually picking up everything that they're feeling and everything that they've bought into.
Yeah.
So if you just use this one tool, who does that belong to? And it gets a little bit lighter. It's likely not yours.
Exactly.
And you can move beyond it. And
Exactly.
that is one of my most favorite tools
Yeah.
that I use all of the time.
Perfect.
And I remember.
So Jim, take it from here and explain some NLP and some very basic short terms.
Well, it's been interesting over the last couple of years in explaining what NLP is, and I find that I can spend hours trying to explain what it is in about 5 minutes to really demonstrate the power of it
Perfect.
with people. As a definition, neuro means brain, linguistic means language patterns, and programming is basically the associations that we make in our mind that drive our behaviors. We perceive our world through our senses, right? What we see, what we say or hear, and what we feel. And, sometimes depending on what it is, through your sense of smell or through your sense of taste. But predominantly what you see, what you hear, and what you feel. Mm-hmm. And what happens is all our memories are stored based on a combination of those three things. And so NLP is about leveraging our senses. It's about leveraging languaging patterns and rewiring, or I like to say upgrading the brain software, right? The software in our brain that makes this whole machine work. And if we can take something that has this kind of an emotional response and, it causes us to freak out, and we do some programming and that emotional response is now at this level, whenever situations arise that used to get us up here now are down here, we find that we can move forward. Right. And it's a lot easier. And really, NLP is a set of skills and tools, processes that a lot of it entails visualizations. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the work is done internally because our unconscious mind is basically what drives our behaviors and what we do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Percentages. Can you share a percentage of how powerful the unconscious mind is versus the conscious mind?
Sure. Your conscious mind, back in 1954, his name is not coming to me, there was a report that basically said your conscious mind can process 7 plus or minus 2 things per second. So that's somewhere between 5 and 9 bits of information. And your unconscious mind can process somewhere in the neighborhood of 3 to 4 billion bits of information per second. Mm-hmm. And if you want to quick example of this, ask yourselves, when was the last time you told your heart to beat?
Yep.
Or when was the last time you told your lungs to exchange oxygen with the air that you're breathing? Chances are you probably haven't unless you're underwater and your scuba gear came off or something like that, right? So our unconscious mind is what's driving all of us all the time. And what's interesting, I read earlier today, once your unconscious mind picks up on something that's in your conscious mind, it frees your conscious mind to focus on something else.
Exactly.
Right? A lot of us like to multitask and do a whole bunch of things. Mm-hmm. Your unconscious mind is the master multitasker.
It really is. And I watched, and it's funny how quickly it happens. I mean, I watched my 5-year-old today on the telephone talking to her friend, and I happened to say to her, could you open the shutters in the bathroom? And she did it. And I was like, wow, she's multitasking at 5, and so it's so quick. And I'm a bit of a on the fence with multitasking because I feel that it really, it's like using your muscle to whack Jim, hold the groceries, your arm, all these things at the same time. It's not as powerful if you were doing one thing at a time. It's being split, and over time it starts to wear when we keep splitting the brain that way. And these days, with all that's coming at us all the time, we're not aware, as you said, that many bits of information. We're sitting in this room. There's noise from the lights. The air conditioning's making a sound. There's people breathing. There's all kinds of things going on that are existing, and we are actually processing it, but there's only so many that we are consciously aware of. So all this stuff is going on all the time, and it can get really tiring and draining to deal with. So I won't rant on about that, but with
short show,
yeah, not even following my own rules. It's my show, I can do it. But with the NLP, I really want to explain that there are these ways of being able to deal with things differently, as opposed to, and also with access consciousness, going back in the past and having to figure out what went wrong, and really being able to focus more so on let's move forward to where we want to go. And these are 2 wonderful modalities that allow us to do that and really head forward. So I'm really pleased with that. Now, what are you guys seeing? Have you had anybody with a relationship breakup in your NLP practice at all, ever? Have you used NLP in that fashion?
I've worked with several clients that are divorced,
Yeah.
or that have gone through divorce, and remnants of that shows up still in the things that they're trying to create now going forward.
Yeah.
And so what we do is we take those instances or those situations and help transform the meaning for them, so that, again, it takes their response from here to here, so that they can move forward and not have that being a barrier to them moving forward.
Yeah. And what's the success that you find with that with the clients? What are some of the results you've noticed?
Oh, great.
They're all good. All Jim's clients are super happy and ready to go.
Well, here's the amazing piece with NLP that I've found with my clients is a lot of times, we go through a process, visualization, whatever the case may be, and it doesn't really make sense to them, but they walk away feeling like there's been a shift.
Yeah.
There's been a change. They can't quite put their nose on it or their hand on it, and what they feel is that there's been a shift. As practitioners, we know to make observations for those shifts, and we can tell. And what is always amazing to hear is getting an email, a text, a phone call, a week, a month, 2 months down the road, and it's like, hey, I thought of you the other day because the situation came up, and I noticed that I didn't respond the way I was responding. All of a sudden I had this situation where now I'm completely different. If I can share something, one of my clients a few weeks back, she was terrified of being put on the spot for speaking, like public speaking in an event and whatnot. And so last week, 2 weeks after we had done a process around that, we were at an event, and she comes over to me and she's like, I really hope that I'm put on the spot tonight.
That's awesome.
And I just chirped to her. It was like, high five, that's awesome. And it was amazing to see that shift in the thoughts, in the response that she had. And the same thing happens when people have other situations, because our emotions are what drive us, whether it's from a divorce, whether it's from, a success, a win that we've had, or from something that's totally locked us down.
Terrific. Christine, last little message to the viewers. Any final points you can share?
Be gentle with yourself. You're on the right path. You can always make another choice. Any choice you've ever made has not been a wrong choice. You can choose again. And there are amazing people out there that are desiring to be a contribution to you. And just know you've created everything. And if you've created crap, it takes a lot more work to create crap than it does to create joy. And you can create joy very easily.
Thank you for the create crap. Awesome. Jim, final words to the viewers.
I'll end off with a quote that I've got on my page and my Facebook page and whatnot. And if you want something you've never had, you've got to do something that you've never done.
Yeah.
And so what I believe we're all presenting here today is that unless you can predict the future and, life is going to be gloomy for the rest of your life, there's people that are willing to help and assist you in transforming some of the meanings that will unlock you moving forward.
Thank you. Christine, what have you got up and coming, and where can we find you?
You can find me at inspiredchoices.ca. I have all sorts of classes going on. I do a regular radio show every Wednesday night at a2zen.fm. And I put on different classes. I have different programs. I have the Divorce with Dignity program. I have Be the Dominatrix of Your Life to really change everything you desire to change. And classes with Access Consciousness that are going on the BARS Foundation Level 1.
Terrific. Thank you. Jim, where can we find you and what's coming up for you?
I can be found at jimribau.com. That's JIMRIBAU.com, or at 905-825-5458. And I'm really excited. In the last week, I've aligned myself with somebody in the nutritional field and in preparing workout routines for people that want to lose. I'm targeting minimum of 20 pounds because I find those people are really serious about making health and wellness conscious choices.
Okay.
And I'm layering on my coaching as the support piece, as the accountable piece for that. So it's going to be an all-encompassing coaching, nutritional guides, and workout routines for people based on their body type and their lifestyle. So I'm really excited about launching that in the next week.
That's wonderful. That sounds really exciting.
Yeah, it is. I'm pretty stoked.
Sounds good. Thank you both for being here today.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today. I just want to leave with you, divorce is a tough time to go through. I've been through it twice myself. As Christine said, please be gentle with yourself and know that going back into the past isn't really going to help you. Focus on taking that step forward and towards the relationship that you want to be in. And before you even get into that relationship with someone else, I encourage you to take that step and build a strong relationship with yourself. You will be with yourself for the entire rest of your life. I guarantee you that. So it's really important to have that strong relationship with yourself, know who you are, and accept who you are as you are. As always, I wish you the best and thank you for joining us today. Remember to stop waiting and start living 365.